all our many to all our many different options. We are so excited to have this class being taught by Kesley, who has a wealth of knowledge and is absolutely wonderful. If there are any questions, please type them in to the Q&A, and Joy and I are from Cricut, and we will do our absolute best to answer them on the back end. All right, Kesley.
All right. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Such high praise. So thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who's joining us on this Monday, probably from around the world. We are so happy you're here. And I'm very excited to introduce you to all the different products of Cricut, helping you try and figure out which is the right Cricut for your needs. So why don't we start off with just a quick broad overview of the different machines. So you'll see a couple different camera views, and hopefully Felicia is also on the back end, and she does a fantastic job. We're gonna lose her to Hollywood, I think. She does such a great job, but let me just go over quickly the different cutting machines, smart cutting machines that Cricut offers. And then we'll go into a little bit more information about each machine as we walk through what you can create on the different machines and with Cricut in general. So the machines start off with the Cricut Joy. The Cricut Joy is our smallest machine. Its cutting size is 4.5 inches wide, but you can cut 48 inches long. 48 inches, you're gonna hear some beeping. You can cut 48 inches long. And with the Cricut Joy was the first machine that used smart materials. Now, smart materials are materials that do not require a mat to cut on. Then I have the Maker 3 next to me here. The Maker 3 is our most DIY machine. It really allows for the DIY crafter to go a step above and beyond. It's a gear-based blade system. So you have a plethora of different blades that you can add to the machine that allows you to just take your crafting to a completely new level. On my overhead camera, I have our Explore machine, the Explore 3 machine, and this is by far our most popular machine. It does just about everything you could want a crafter could need. So why don't we start off with the Cricut Joy, and I'm going to step back over here and talk with you a little bit about it. I should welcome you all into my studio. This is where I get to craft and make and create. So welcome in, everybody. So this is the Cricut Joy right here, and you can see how small it is. And I do have to move a few things around. You can see how very tiny it is and what a small footprint it takes up. So it's quite compact. It does have one tool holder. So if you're going to write with your Cricut Joy or something like that, you would just pop out your blade and then pop in a pen tool so you can write. And there's so much fun materials to work with this. The Cricut Joy works with over 50 materials, and you can write with it. So like there's adhesive back cardstock that you can make embellishments with. We have writable vinyl, which is a personal favorite of mine. It's all over the place in my house. Now, talking about smart materials, Cricut smart materials are cuttable vinyl and iron-ons that do not require a mat. So what is a mat? A mat is, each machine comes with a mat specifically for its size, and this is a special mat. I'm gonna share with you about this one in just a second. Each machine has a mat, so you do not have to only use smart materials. You can use regular vinyl, regular iron-on, and feed that in on a mat, cardstock, all kinds of materials like that. This mat here, this is the card mat, and it's exclusive to the Cricut Joy. So let me get this. Cricut Joy has a series of insert cards packages, and in each package, it has a series of folded cards, an insert, and an envelope. So what you do is you take your folded card and you put your folded card into the sleeve here of your mat, of your card mat. It has like a little piece there. So you slide this in and it holds it in place. And then when you push it into the machine, it only cuts the top of your card. So I had my phone. Let me grab my phone, and I'm going to go to my overhead camera, and I will show you how I use my phone to find a card. Let me get this going. So Cricut works with different, okay. So the Cricut design space is a software that you can use to talk to the different machines, whether you're using a Explore, a Joy, or a Maker. You can use the Cricut Joy app on your phone, on a tablet, and on your desktop. So for example, like if I were to want to make a card, I would go to the home screen and I would look for a project. I could look in all categories and I could look for a card. So I just type in the search for a card. I don't know, can you see? You can't really see that one. Can you see it better here? It's really hard to see. All right, you know what I'm gonna do? Yeah, it's hard to see. Should I?
Hey, Keston, it's Alicia. You may need to turn down the brightness
Okay,
on your phone in order for them to see it better.
okay. Very smart. Okay, I'll hold that up a little closer. So I just am looking for a card. All right, let's see. My internet might be a little bit slow. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to let this settle for a few minutes and I'll come back to that and we'll show how to do that. But basically, you put your card mat into the Cricut Joy and it will cut the card out of the Cricut Joy. And then you add your insert inside the card with the cutout. It is so super cute. And I'm sure I have some in my drawers I can show you. So we'll pull those out when we get there. The Cricut Joy also, as I mentioned, had to jump down there, works with the smart vinyl and the smart iron-on. And what makes it so cool? So this is a 5" by 5.5" by 48" vinyl. And you can cut all 48 inches without a mat. And you can make an adorable border like this. Isn't this cute for teachers? I just love that. Teachers, a nursery room, something like that. It's just adorable. So you can create really long borders, really long banners and signs. It also works with infusible ink, which is our infusible ink helps you to make mugs and t-shirts and bags. So let's see. What else am I missing about Cricut Joy?
I don't know, that she's just super happy and cute and fits right there on your countertop. I think you covered it, Kez. It's iron-on, vinyl, and adhesive cardstock are the things you can really, the most common materials that you put through there. But she looks little, she'll make big projects.
Absolutely. And you better watch out because your kids will steal this one. When it comes time to science fair boards and things like that, this comes in handy. Like so wonderful. Okay, so let's go on. Let me see how if my internet is helping me out here. And I'm gonna do this real quick. Let's just reopen into here. And we'll do a new project and we'll find an image. So I just look for an image. We'll, you can either look at highlighted categories, you can browse all images. I can search all images for cards. And you can search, or like if I wanted to do, actually, let me cheat. I'm going to do a thank you card. So I just pop in thank you card, and then all kinds of card ideas will populate. And then you just have to pick a card and literally send it to your machine. So let's see. Let me look at filters. You can look down and see if it's a project type. I can do cards like that and filter it down to more of the cards for Cricut Joy. So I could just do any of these cards here that have the cutouts for the insert on the back. That's the kind of card I'm looking for my sample. So maybe I just do this one here, thank you. And you just insert it onto your canvas. And then when you say make it, I'll be making it on the card mat. So you select which mat you're making it on. And it tells you this is for a card that's 4.5 by 6.25. And my insert cards tell me that they are 4.5 by 6.25. So I know it will work. And then I just hit continue. And as it's thinking, I'll grab my card here. And I've got that inserted, so it's ready to go. It's all ready to go. And then you have to just pick which type of material you're using. So I'm doing insert cardstock. And then it tells me to go over to my Cricut machine. I have a little light on top that's blinking away. And I'm going to insert into the card machine with that arrow, into the Cricut with that arrow pointing up. And it's going to feed it in. And I just want to make sure, I kind of got it. You know what I did? I forgot to take the piece off. So I was wondering, it moved around. This has adhesive here. So it's not super strong adhesive. It's just a tacky adhesive. So this will actually hold your card in place. So now when I put that on there and I feed it into the machine, and what happens is the Cricut Joy is so smart. It measures your mat to make sure that you have a big enough card on there. So once it's measured it and it's ready to go through, I then just say go, and it will start cutting that design for me. It's thinking, now it's starting to cut. And that's how it works. It'll just cut that right out. So I love that. Okay, so while that's cutting, why don't we go ahead and start talking about the Explore 3. So the Explore 3 has a 12-inch, a 13-inch cutting area with your widest cut size 11.5 inches. It does have the dual pen holder. Sorry, I'm so leaning over. Let me just go like this. There we go. It does have the dual pen holder, the dual tool holder here. So you can put a stylus type of pen in here or an actual writing pen in there. Cricut pen can go right in there. And then you have your fine point blade right on this side here. So what I have is a project to do. This is infusible ink. And so I have a project set up on my mat. Now, the Explore 3 also works with smart materials. So if I were to be using smart vinyl or smart iron-on, I would not need to use my mat, but I'm using the infusible ink. So I will use my mat for the infusible ink. And I just heard my Cricut Joy finished. So we'll unload that and I'll bring this back over to my overhead so you can see how cute it is. And when you take it off of your mat, you just peel it right off your mat. And then you can just use your scraper knife and pop those extra pieces off. And then any little remaining pieces, they just come right off like this. And then you have this adorable little card that you can send out. Now, what I love about these is if my kids are headed to a birthday party and I haven't done all my shopping, I don't have a card or something, I can just make a really quick card. That's why I like to keep my Cricut Joy on the kitchen counter, right next to the toaster. So I just pop that out and there is my card. And then I just have the envelope because it came with the kit and I'm ready to go. So I can now write a cute note and send that off to somebody. All right, so now let me come back here to the Explore 3. I know this is a bit back and forth, but we really want to show you how everything works. So the Explore 3, again, I will work with the desktop software. So I'm going to go ahead and share my desktop with you so you can actually see a little bit closer how Design Space works. So this is Design Space on my desktop. And when I come in, I just would select a new project, or if I have a project ready to go. So this is the infusible ink mug. And I just picked it out. Let me show you where I found that. I just went to the images library and I went to all the images and I looked up mugs and I came up with a whole bunch of mugs. And when I found one that I liked, I clicked on it and I wanted to see what else matched that mug. So I looked into the image sets and I found an image that I really liked. And so I selected that image. See, I can do one that matches it. I'll do that one this time. So you just select your image and then you insert your image onto your canvas. And it already comes in the right size. It's a project. I don't need to do anything to it. And so I would just say, make it. So I'm going to use the one I already have on my canvas because I've cut this one out for you ahead of time. And I went ahead and did the weeding on it. So we can put that one right in the machine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it. And I'll say done. And it goes in, and then you tell the software what smart materials or what materials you're using. And this is where the smart action really happens. So when you tell the software the material you're using, it sets the cut pressure for you. So you don't have to think about how much pressure you need in it or anything like that. It tells you how much pressure, it tells the machine exactly what pressure to use, how much pressure to use. It tells you what tools you need to use and anything that you need to add to your tool set up here. It tells you all that. Then when your light is flashing, you take your mat. Now I've already put my infusible ink from the package onto the light grip mat. And I just slide that in there and I just put that in and it'll tell me once it's measured it'll tell me it's ready to go. And I'll just hit that arrow and it'll be ready to go. Now the Explore, you're wondering how many different materials can you cut with the Explore? The Explore cuts over 300 materials. So really for so many crafters, this machine answers your crafting needs. You can cut a lot of the materials that are available on the market very easily. And then you add a couple of accessory items like the mug press here. You add that to your craft room and now you're making mugs for everybody.
Hey, Kesley, you're still sharing your screen.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. So now this is the Explore 3 that I'm using here, and it's just cutting out my infusible ink design. So whatever you're using, if you're using vinyl, if you're using iron-on, if you're using cardstock, when you select your materials in the Design Space software, it will tell your machine how to cut that material, how much pressure to put on, so it easily cuts through the materials. Let's see, the Explore 3 does come with, this is the fine point blade, and then it has a fabric blade. So you can cut fabric on the Explore 3 if you have, if you've bonded your fabric. So really we'll get into fabric when we go to the maker. That's the one that does so much with the fabric. So this is almost done. It's just cutting out the outline of my infusible ink for my mug. And then you just pop it out here. Now your next step as a beginner is to take some of our beginner classes with Michael's. We have a class, Cricut 101, which really teaches you how to use Design Space and work with Design Space and your machine. And then we also have a deeper dive into Design Space. Now I'm going to slide back in front again and go in my overhead. When your design has finished cutting, you begin to weed out the materials that you don't want. So you would go through and weed out the design part that you don't want on your design. So this material, the infusible ink kind of crackles It's a really fun material to use. It crackles, and then you just, along those crack lines, you just start to take it off like this. And you work your way down. And you peel it off like this. Now this you would do the same if you're using vinyl or if you're using iron-on. You would weed away the part of the materials that you don't want. And that takes that off for you right there. Okay. Now, as you, you might be wondering about, well, where do you get images to use, and how do you find images that will work on Design Space? Cricut has a plan called Cricut Access, which gives you access to the entire library of images and designs. And you can select all the images and designs from that library to use on your designs. And then there are projects in there. So like this was a project. I didn't have to do anything to this design to get it to work. Okay, so you can see how I'm weeding the materials I don't want on there. Then I've already actually done the next step, which is to wrap it around my mug and then put a butcher paper on it. And my mug press, let me get out of the way. My mug press light is on, so my mug press is heated up, and I'm just going to slide this in here. And what's awesome about this is really, 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 really hot. So I don't want to get my hands inside of there, but the outside of the machine, I can completely touch. It's not hot, and I'll be able to remove my mug when it's done. So I just clamp this down. I like to get this in the middle here. And then you clamp it down like that. And it has lights on the top, and the lights will move along as it progresses. So by the end of the class, we'll be able to take the mug out, and I'll show you how that works. The great thing about infusible ink is it really blends into the material. So like you can't feel anything on here. I can put this in my washing machine and it will not come off. It's not going anywhere. It's infused into the ceramic. You can also use infusible ink on our blanks that allow you, that have that are designed for infusible ink. So this is one of the little zipper bag blanks from Cricut, and that I made that one. So that is the Explore 3. Now you can use everything you can cut on the Joy, you can cut on the Explore 3 plus the extra material. So you really have a lot of materials that you can cut on the Explore 3, from stencil material and Shrinky Dink material. And it's just so, I find that one to be my go-to one. I use that one a lot for most of my crafting. But then there's the Maker. And the Maker is a little bit different than the 3 because, and I'm going to change my camera and give myself a little bit more zoom here on the Maker 3 so you can see. The Maker 3, the Maker works with a gear system. So it also has 2 pen holders, and one would hold like your pens, and then the other one holds your tools. When you use the tools on the Maker, they have a gear on the top. So what happens is the gear rotates and slides as you're creating. So you would, you could open this up and take out your blade and place in a different blade. So for example, I like to do sewing, and I like to cut out some patterns with my Maker 3. So I use this rotary blade, which is so tiny, and my hand rotary blade is so big, but this one just goes right in there. Now there are a lot of other blades that you can use. There's a debossing blade, an engraving blade. There's a perforation blade, which is great for making like rip off tickets and things like that. I'd like to show you how the rotary blade works. I got my iPad back here. So I'll put this up on my, so many moving parts, guys. I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to come in front. Okay, so this is my iPad, and let me turn that brightness down a little bit. So if I go into projects I've created, I can find a fabric bag that I uploaded the pattern into here, into Design Space. And let me go here. Let's see, my projects in the cloud. So I uploaded it to Design Space and then I have it saved. So anytime I want to, I can go to that project and I can make it. So I just click make it and I'm going to cut the fabric on the mat. So right here, it shows where my fabric is, where my pattern is, and how it's going to cut. And I've even added little tabs to the side of the pattern so it makes it easier to match up. So now I'm going to send this over to my maker so that I can cut right from my maker. And what is great, like what I'm showing you is how you can use your how you can use so many different devices to talk to your machine. So like on my Cricut Joy, I was able to use my iPhone. On my Explore 3, I used the desktop. On my Maker, I'm using my iPad. So now I just take my mat. Hope I loaded this in right. Normally I would do this on a table where I had a lot of space for this mat so it didn't hang down. But I'm going to put that on there. And it's going to feed it in. So one thing you want to make sure is you have enough room on the back side for any material for your mat to go through. When you're using, like if you're using smart materials, you can cut up to 9 feet on the 13-inch smart materials, and it will come all the way through and measure it all out and then bring it back in. It's really exciting to see. Okay, so I've loaded my mat. It's ready to go. My arrow's on. And I'm going to go ahead and let it start cutting. So now you'll see with the gear, I'm cutting out fabric, which is super fun. And what it does, the machine, this is where the smart part comes in. The machine is making sure I have the right blade in my machine so that's going to do the right kind of cuts that I'm hoping it will do. Any questions, Lindsay, while this is cutting out?
Sorry, I had to get to mute. We have a lot of questions. I've seen several questions about stencils and which machines are good for stencil making.
Oh, that is a good question. So the stencil material is a little bit thicker than the vinyl material. And again, in Design Space, when you select that material to cut, the software knows how to talk to which machine you're using to cut that out. So you can actually cut the stencil material on both the Explore and the Maker, either one. And you could probably, I don't know if you can, I've never tried it on the Joy. I just use my Explore when I've cut stencil material in the past. But, and then you put, the stencil material has a little bit of stick on it. So if I don't want it to stick too much, I sort of put it on my jeans or my t-shirt and take up a little bit of that stick. So when I peel it off, if there's been paint put on it, it's not too sticky. It's not too hard to get off. Now, everything's happening at once here. My mud press is done. My lights are flashing and it's beeping. So I open it up like that. And then I take an Easy Press mug, an Easy Press, what is this? Easy Press mat. Because while my machine is not hot, my mug is very, very hot and I do not want to burn myself. So actually, let me come from back side here. And I'll take that right out and we'll put it on here. But again, this is really hot. So if you have small kids, you want to make sure that they're not lingering around and feeling your mug when you take it out. You definitely want to do that up high. Now my fabric also finished cutting. So we'll go ahead and unload that mat. And I'll peel off the background fabric here. And this is for me, this is what which sold me on the Maker, because I sew and I love to use different fabrics and designs. So this ability to cut fabric was just such a key feature for me. So when that's really was a key feature for what I wanted to do, was to be able to cut fabric. And then just by adding a different blade, I add a whole new capability to my machine. So even though I got it just for the cutting out fabric, then you add engraving, and you can engrave on acrylic designs, or you add in debossing, and you can deboss cards and really take your designs to a new level. So it's very super exciting what you can create with this machine. And that's where, like, you have to sort of not know, but what are you making right now? What are you crafting right now? And is that all you're going to be doing, or do you want to expand and be able to do more? So some people buy a machine for a specific reason. I want to make t-shirts. I want to label everything in my house. And if you sort of know what you want to craft, it makes it a little bit easier to pick a machine, and then you always have room to grow. Really, you have room to grow with whichever machine you select. Okay, now I have somewhere a design I already cut out using the Smart Iron-On. So I wanted to show how to load the Smart Iron-On into the Maker 3. Now I will tell you, I love the packaging on the Smart Materials because it's so easy to tell which material is which. So this is the iron-on, and it comes in a solid box, and this is the vinyl, and it comes in a clear box. So I know it might seem silly, but it really does save you time when you've got a lot of supplies you're trying to look through to find it. Okay, so let me go back over this way with my design here, and I can go back into I'm looking around because I had it already cut out and everything, because I wanted to show you how to use the heat press. So let me come back here. I'm going to go back to home, and I'll create a new project. So go to my canvas. I'm going to create a new project. So I need to find an image, and I'll look for all images, and I'm looking for something that says bloom on it. So really, when you go into Design Space, you can find, I just looked for something that would have an image that would have bloom, and 148 different images popped up that I could use. And then I just put this on my canvas. I go to my edit, and I change the size of, there we go. I change the size to say 7 inches, and it enlarges it right there. And then I would say, make it. When I'm ready, I just say make it, and it sends it right over to my machine. And I'm going to be cutting with Smart Materials, so I don't need it on a mat. And then I'm just ready to go over and load my machine up with my materials. So I need to say what materials I'm using, and I just can go to popular materials. I'll be using Smart Iron-On, and then it tells me to go ahead and load it up. Now I'm going to go in front of this one again. I do need to change out my blade because I have my rotary blade in here, and I just need to change out that rotary blade to a fine point blade. So I just pop that out, and I put this in here, and it sets in. I did this last time, I didn't have it in all the way, so I'm gonna make sure I have it in all the way. So it sets in, and you close it up. So again, the Smart Materials, I do not need a mat for it. So it's a time saver because it takes less time to put it together in your machine. And I just, you know what I didn't do? I did not mirror my design. So let me go back over, because I'm using an iron-on material, and it probably tells me make sure it's mirrored, and it does. So let me go back and make sure I can mirror it. So why do you have to mirror your design? Well, you mirror your design so that you can, so that it will cut on, because you're cutting on the back side of your image of your material. You're cutting on the back side of your material. So you need to mirror the design so that it will sorry, I'm trying to find my tab. You just mirror it so it flips it around, and then when it cuts it on the back side, and then when you put it down on the right side. Okay, so I'm not seeing, Lindsay, I'm not seeing, I know it was there before because I did it. Let's see. Nope. All right, well.
Is your Bluetooth connected to that machine, or is it connected to another machine?
It's connected to that machine, and I'm just not seeing the mirror button on it on here for some
It
reason.
should be when you hit make.
Right?
And then there's usually a mirror option.
Right, so I say without matte, and it says up here, but it's not letting me. Usually, like, I think I can click on there and then switch it to mirror. So it's weird. Let me add that image again. You know, it's never perfect, and this is always my good reminder to be patient, and when you think something's going to go one way, it goes another way. Yeah, okay, so I don't know what's happening, why it's not letting me do that, but I do have it. I can send it to the Explore 3, and we'll get this cut for you guys so you can see it. If that's okay, I'll share my screen, and I'll have to figure out why that didn't work before. So let's just go back here. We'll finish. And I'll add that image. Now, if I were not teaching a class and there's something like that happened, I would probably Google search like image not mirroring or something like that. Or I'd go to the Cricut website and do a quick search what I did wrong and why it's not popping up. So let's see. Bloom and be happy. There it is. Okay, so let's insert that image. And I'm going to change it to 7 inches wide. Okay, we've got that. And then I can flip it if I want to flip it horizontal, and that mirrors it. And then I say make it. And it's going to mirror it. So I'm going to make it without the matte. And then I select my material, and I'll start cutting it. Let's see, browse my materials. I'll do popular. I bet that this is probably smart iron-on. There it is. Okay, and then I've got my blade in, and my light is flashing to go ahead. I wonder if I just needed to do, that's it. I needed to flip horizontal. That's what I needed to do. So it was there. Like I say, it's usually my error. All right, so let's put this in the Explore 3.
And Kaz, remember, you're still sharing your screen.
Oh, thank you, Felicia. All right, and that's going to go through. I'm going to make sure my heater is on. It is on. Okay, my light is flashing that it's ready to cut it. So I'm going to go ahead and say cut it. See how quickly it goes too with that smart material? Now, while that's cutting, I'm going to move my part over and bring up my heat press. So when you're using a heat press, you want to make sure you have a surface that you can work on, either an ironing board or a towel. I have the heat Easy Press mat so that I use. right, do you think, should I touch my mug and see if the mug is ready? I'm not sure if it's still hot or not.
Yes, I'm dying to see it.
It's still a little hot. I'm gonna let it percolate for just a smidgen bit more. And how am I doing on time? Let's unload this.
Kesley, we've got about 15 more minutes.
Oh, good. Okay, perfect. I did. So I really enjoy the weeding process. It's super fun and relaxing for me. I don't know about you guys, but so weeding again is when you remove the weeded part of your design. So the part of your design that you don't need to have. Part that comes off. Okay, so we're going to cut this down. And this is just a paper trimmer I'm using to slice off my extra vinyl, my iron-on vinyl that I don't need. So I'm just using my paper trimmer here. And I'm going to close this up so we can see. So now there are tools that you want to use. So one of the tools that you'll want to use is a weeding tool. And that's this guy right here. And so you just start in the corner. Everything's beeping behind me. And you begin to weed off your iron-on vinyl that you're not going to be ironing down. So see, you can just very carefully pull it down off your design. And then you'll go back in, and in the little center pieces, you remove that negative space that you don't want. Now, I'm sure people are asking questions about how do they pick a machine, which one's the right one for them. Are there any specific questions?
There's been lots of questions about making stickers and decals.
Oh, awesome. So the decals are, I use the permanent vinyl to make decals, and it works very much like your iron-on vinyl here, where you cut it out and then you weed out the negative space. And then you just add a transfer sheet on that design, and you can transfer it from, so this is the vinyl I use, like this kind of vinyl, and then you use use a transfer sheet, and you can transfer the image from your sheet of vinyl to your design. So I actually have one behind me that I did on a picture frame. And now if you want to make stickers, then you would use the print and cut feature, which is available on both the Explorer and the Makers. And that allows you to cut your material, print your design on your printer, and then you come back to your machine and you cut out your design. Now, if you ever are weeding, you have a hard time seeing what you're doing, you can use the Bright Pad to see your cut lines. I know a lot of people have really been enjoying that, and it's a lifesaver. And with this is nice because you can just turn it over and see if you missed anything, any of your spots. I like to use the printable vinyl for my stickers. I don't know if you've used that before, Lindsay, or not, but that works out so well to make stickers, and they're nice and durable. We did a batch for cheerleading last year, and they really just came out so nice. Okay.
And then Kesley, there are lots of questions about what are you doing to connect your iPad to your machine?
Good question. So my iPad and my phone are both connected to my machine using Bluetooth. So that you can connect both the Explorer and the Maker to your desktop or laptop, and then or your mobile devices using Bluetooth. The Cricut Joy connects with Bluetooth to your iPad, your template or your phone device, and then you it does not, it's limited that it doesn't connect with your computer. That's the only one that's limited in that way. Okay, so I've got my my Easy Press is heated up, and I'm just going to give my material a quick a quick press here, and then I will add my design onto it. Now I like to put my design on before I sew, and I'm just kind of eyeballing. I would, you can fold it in half and get, what's wrong? You would be happy. There we go. It's funny, it's weird looking at it upside down. So the Easy Press comes in a variety of sizes. There's a mini Easy Press, which is super popular, and it's a little tiny one. My son took it to college because he was working on a craft project, and I think he said he's going to keep it and take it back next year. But it's super tiny, and it gets in little spots. So like I love to use this if I'm making like a design on a baseball cap and I just want to iron it on. It works on that. The great thing about these Easy Presses is you can set the timing specific and set your temperature specific. And I just go online to the Cricut website and I type in the type of material I'm using and what backing I'm using, and it will give me the exact temperatures I need to make this design. All right, now I will let this cool off a little bit, and then we just peel it. Different materials have different peeling instructions. So some will say peel when cool, peel when hot, and you can cut out this iron-on vinyl on any of the 3 machines that you're working with. You can definitely cut that out on any 3 machines. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna let it cool off just a little bit more. Let's see how this is feeling. Okay, this is still a little bit warm, but I think we're gonna be able to peel it off. So I put a piece of butcher paper on top of my design, and then I sealed it with heat resistance tape. That's how I taped it on here so that it wouldn't wiggle on me. I don't like the design to wiggle. So as you can see, as I'm pulling it off, the design is really, the paper is really light here, and I can see around the rim, the design has changed to be part of the mug and is off the paper. So it's time for the big reveal. And we're just gonna peel that off. And it's really not that hot anymore at all. Look at that. I used the galactic transfer sheet. How amazing is that? You have a Star Wars fan, or you have just somebody who likes watching the stars. There we go. And the great thing is you can see how bright and vibrant those colors turned into. All right, and this is cooling off nicely. And if you are peeling your paper off your iron-on, and maybe you notice it didn't quite catch a spot, you could just grab your Easy Press again and press it again, and then it'll heat it all up and it'll stick. So I tend to go a little bit lighter on my time initially, and then I'll add on a little bit extra if I need to. So the great thing about the Bluetooth too, I want to say, and not just the Bluetooth, but this little Cricut Joy is so fun to take to parties and things like that, and make things at parties. And then also with Design Space, the ability to design something and then put it up in the cloud, it really does make it easier. So you can design on the go, and then when you come back, you can add your design to be cut. Now I also would, you could also add a piece of plastic on the back. I can't find my Teflon, just to heat the back up real nicely here too. Let's do that. I'll just show you how to do that. So I just put that piece of Teflon on there, a Teflon sheet with my Easy Press. And the reason I'm doing that is my transfer sheet is bigger than my material, so I didn't want it to stick onto my Easy Press. So I just do that with it. And this is coming along. All right. So I think the biggest thing I've ever made with my, now it's, oh, wouldn't you know? The biggest thing I've ever made with my, the Maker 3 was a banner for graduation this year. I just made a quick banner for a neighborhood friend, and it just said, "Congratulations, Demi, class of 2021." It was super cute. So that I love the length that you can cut with the Maker and the Explore 3s and the Smart Materials, how long you can make one single cut. It's very fun. All right. Now let's make sure this worked. Let it cool a little bit. And we'll be able to pop it off. You know, one thing I didn't mention, it is cooling, so that's good. One thing I didn't mention, Lindsay, are the different types of mats that are available. So depending on the material you're using, Cricut does have 4 different mats. We have a light grip mat for cardstock, and we have a standard grip mat, which is great for like vinyls. Then there's a fabric mat, and there's let's see, vinyl, fabric, and I'm forgetting, oh, and the strong grip mat, which are great. And when you're working with vinyl, it's so easy to make fun designs and then overlay them when you're doing stuff with vinyl. All right, now, hopefully this was behaving and I've done the right measurements, and it's just gonna peel off nicely for me. Here we go. Still a little hot in the center there. Let that cool off. Just push that down a little bit. Now, when this is all done and I sew it together, it will make this design here, which this was gifted to me by someone very special, and I loved it so much I had to make my own. But this is a Japanese top knot bag, and so it turns out like that, and then you turn it in like that. So I cut 4 pieces on the Maker, and then you sew them together. And that's how those work. All right. I feel like I'm rushing this before it's cooled enough, but if that's okay. I don't think my middle's cooled enough. I don't know if I'm going to get this cooled off, Lindsay. But you can see how cute the design is. So when it's all finished, how fun a bag will that be? All right. Are there any other questions or anything? You guys getting it all? My fabulous duo in the back end. My and is not sticking down for me. So here's what you do. When something like that happens, you just go back and you hit that spot again with your easy press. And normally I don't have to do this. So of course it's just today. It's been a Monday. I don't know about you guys. It has been a hot Monday for me.
Yes, it has been a Monday, Kesley, for sure.
Yep.
And so let that heat up a little bit, and I'll let you know some of the questions that we might have here. Let's see. So let's talk a little bit about the machines. If you were going to do labeling, which machine would you choose?
Oh, good question. So I use my Cricut Joy for labels in the kitchen. Like if I'm labeling something and I want to write it out on writable vinyl, I use the Cricut Joy and the pens in the Cricut Joy. If I'm labeling containers, I might actually have, if I can slide up here, you know, I go into my closet.
There she goes in her fancy, I love that closet. Something cool always comes out of it.
So these are just bins that I have that I've added labels with vinyl on. And then I have like my little glitter containers, which I've added labels with my vinyl on. Now, all of this you can do with the Cricut Joy, the Explore, and the Maker. So,
excellent.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But if you were really gonna go hardcore on labeling, you could probably do all of that using Cricut Joy.
You could do all of it using Cricut Joy. And I do like the feature on Cricut Joy with the writable vinyl.
Yes.
That's only on Cricut Joy. So I really like that. And you can even use like the writable, the adhesive cardstock to write labels and then cut those out. That's a great thing.
So we have about 2 minutes left, Kesley.
I know. Let's hope this is.
You have shared so many good things on what you can do with all of these machines. There certainly are a lot of machines to choose from. And this class is really about showing you how to use all these different machines. And there you go. You got it, didn't you?
It did.
Did a little tiny bit of patience and you got it perfectly.
Always takes
So,
patience.
so overall, in the machine presentation that you just did, you have a Cricut Joy, Explore 3, Maker 3, you used your mug press, you used your easy presses. If a person already owns an Explore Air 2, or if they have a Maker, all of the things that you did can be done on all of these machines. Since Cricut has introduced the new Explore 3 and Maker 3 machines, we're really offering a new set of machines that work faster and smarter. So you have a person has a lot to choose from.
They certainly have a lot to choose from, and there's really something in everybody's range. So wherever you're coming at this, whatever area stage you're in your crafting and using a Cricut machine, there is a machine that will work for you and will grow with you as you grow as a crafter.
Yes, excellent. Thank you so much, Kesley, for teaching us so many wonderful things. We really appreciate you, and we appreciate everybody who came to class today. Don't forget to check out the Michaels website where you signed up for classes. We have a design space orientation class there. We have advanced techniques in design space. We have Kesley is going to be doing a project-based class per month. There's a lot of classes to see, and there's a lot to learn right from Michaels. So be sure to check out another class, and we look forward to seeing everybody. If we didn't get to your question today, join us in another class, and let's see if we can get to your question then.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you so much, everybody.
Thank you.